St. Luke chapter 24. And we want to start reading at verse 13. This is what it says in the King James Version. And behold, two of them went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 80 furlongs. And they talked together of all things which had happened. And it came to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. And he said unto them, What manner of communication are these that ye have one to another, as ye walk and are sad? And the one of them, whose name was Cleophas, answering, said unto him, Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass therein these days? And he said unto them, What things? And they said unto him, Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how the chief priests and the rulers delivered him to be condemned to death, and have crucified him. But we trusted that it had been he which should have redeemed Israel. And beside all of this, today is the third day since these things were done. Yea, and certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre. When they found not his body, they came saying that they had seen a vision of angels, which said he was alive. And certain of them which were with us went to sepulchre and found it even as the women had said, but him they saw not. Then he said unto them, O ye fools, slow of heart to believe all of the prophets, what they had spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things, to enter into his glory? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them all the scripture, the things concerning himself. And they drew nigh unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, Abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. And he went in to tarry with them. It came to pass, as he sat at meat with them, he took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they knew him. And he vanished out of their sight. And they said one to another, Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way? And he opened the scriptures to us. And they rose up that same hour, returned to Jerusalem, and found the 11 gathered together, and said unto them that were there, The Lord is risen indeed, and hath appeared unto Simon. And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them in the breaking of the bread. God bless you. Thank you for standing. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. I want to just use just briefly, and I do mean rather briefly this morning, the thought, you can't see it while you're in it. You can't see it while you're in it. You know, I was just the other day, I went to get my daughter's car all changed, and I got up rather early. I was assuming that the place would be a little bit open early. And so I got there very, very early, but nobody was there. And I pulled up and saw the sign that said they do not open till 8. I said, this is a lot of time I've got to kind of, I'm not going back home, so let me just find where the Lord would lead me. And lo and behold, the Lord led me to the donut shop. Won't he do it? The Lord led me to the donut shop. and following the leading of the Lord, when I made it to the donut shop there, I saw this lady, this young lady. I don't know her name. I couldn't remember because over the course of years, you know, older you get, you forget names. and I forget a whole lot of names. Yeah, that's right. So I thought I knew her. I thought I had seen her before. There was a resemblance. I said, well, this could be possibly somebody I know. And so, of course, it was my turn as I waited patiently in line for my opportunity to do what the Lord had laid on my heart to do. And there, when I got there, I said, I can't tell you everything I got, but this, that, and, this and that. And when she got ready to check me out, she said, "Is that all you want, Pastor Harvey?" And I was like, "Oh, you do know me." And she said, "It took me a minute to figure out who you were because you don't normally dress like you're dressed now." She said, "You look like a common person." You look just like anybody else that would come into the donut shop. And I thought about that as I made the exchange and started eating as the Lord had directed me to do on those donuts. And I thought about the idea of how often we see people and not know who they are. There was a deep moment of reflection in my spirit as I wondered, was that young lady at the same time I was trying to figure out who she was she also trying to figure out who I was? Maybe you've never had that experience before. Maybe you've never saw someone you thought you knew but weren't really sure, or you did like I've done before, pretended and acted like you knew who they were. Hoping that eventually it'll come to you. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it does not. Oh, what an awkward feeling to carry on a full conversation with somebody. And they're asking you about people that you both should know. And you know those people, but you don't know them. And it's an amazing thing because we've learned to be good hypocrites as it comes to that, because we just smile and keep on going and act like we... See you next time. All right, then. What a unique experience it must have been, because at this time, this is the resurrection day. Follow me for a moment now. It's amazing theologically that there seems to be a problem with people that should know Jesus. They seem to have a problem identifying him. Mary Magdalene and the other women go to the tomb, and the tomb is empty. The stone is rolled away. Mary Magdalene leaves and goes to tell Peter. The other two sisters, Mary, the mother of James, and Salome, draw closer to the tomb. And then they leave to go and meet the other women. But as Mary comes back to meet the tomb, she encounters what she thinks is a gardener. She misidentifies him as a gardener, you would think after all this time that he's known her, she's known him, she would know who Jesus is, but she doesn't know him. And in fact, she doesn't know him until he calls her name. And we're talking about Jesus now. The disciples at one point go fishing, and they're out there fishing, and they're fishing. They don't really know who Jesus is at the shore. Peter thinks it's him, jumps out of the boat, swims to go see him, but they're still kind of leery. Is this him or is it not? I wondered why it's so difficult for these people who have walked with Jesus, some for 3.5 years after his resurrection, to look at him and not see him. How many times do you and I look at people and not really see them? I know a lot of us are shamefaced. We don't like to look people in the eyes when they're talking. We don't like to look at people when we're talking. We look everywhere, all up around and everything, and talking, looking at the bench and looking at the flowers and the trees. And instead of looking at a person when you talk to them, I was taught early that if you're going to talk to somebody, look them in the eyes. But even with looking in the eyes, they are having a serious problem identifying Jesus. And, that's something I don't think we need to just pass by, because obviously there has to be a deeper meaning in this. Even to the point that when Jesus showed up in the room with the 11, and Thomas is with them this time, he has to show them his wounds before they really know it's him. And the whole point in this is that there are times in our Christian walk, in our faith walk with God, that things do not appear as they are. Not only do things not appear as they are, Jesus doesn't appear as he is. Somebody came to church this morning, and you have been trying to find Jesus in your situation, and you may be looking right at him and not know it. This may be too deep this morning for Pilgrim Rest. You may be looking in the eyes of the Lord and not identifying who you're looking at. Jesus can come in more than one form. I can prove it to you. I can prove it to you that he can show up in more than one form. Even in the revelation given to John on the Isle of Patmos, John looks at him one time and says, he's a lion, he's roaring. This is the lion of the tribe of Judah. He appears as a lion, but then John looks at him another time and says, it's a lamb. He's looking like a lamb. And then John looks at him another time and said, no, he's looking like a man, and he's got on clothes, and he's got a vesture that says King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Who is he looking at? How can he look so many different ways to the same person? Glory be to God. Somebody came to church this morning, and you've seen him, and you see him as a way maker. Can I get a witness in here? Others have seen him as a bridge over troubled water. Somebody has seen him as a mother when your mother's gone. Others have seen him as a father who's to the fatherless. Somebody has seen him as the light, as the way, as the resurrection, as the life. He's still Jesus. But he doesn't always look like we think he ought to look. I think it was in St. Matthew 14 when Jesus had fed the 5,000, and he goes up to the mountain. He tells the disciples to go across the Sea of Galilee, and that he would catch up with them later. And they're struggling, they're toiling, they're trying to get there. There arises a great storm, and here comes Jesus walking on the water. And when they see him, the Bible says he looks like a spirit. And they are afraid. In fact, they are so afraid until they are cautious as to invite him onto the boat. But when Peter steps up and says, Lord, if it's really you, let me come to you. And he steps out of the boat. The fear is removed from everyone else as Peter exercises faith. Lord, it doesn't look like you, but if it's really you, I know I can always come to you. Y'all gonna make me preach up in here today. And here we have these two disciples, have mercy, on the resurrection morning. This to us is Easter morning, the first Easter, the very first Easter, Ella John, the very first resurrection, the very first celebration of our Lord triumphing over death and rising with all power in his hand. The very first resurrection day. We've already talked about how the women came and they told testimony. The word is spreading among the faithful believers that Jesus is risen. He's not at the tomb. He's alive. But there's also a vicious lie that's going around that the disciples have stolen the body, that somebody's got him, that, well, he's just not at that tomb. They moved him at the night and moved him somewhere else. And so there's a whole lot of uncertainty floating in the midst of the circle of believers. But anybody who saw him should have confidence that they had saw Jesus. Peter had saw him. We see that in this passage. Peter had saw him, and Mary had saw him, but they came and told the other disciples, but the other disciples weren't really believing this. But they had all been told in the ministry of Jesus that on the third day he would rise again. He made it pretty clear that he would die. In fact, he told them what kind of death that he would die, that he would be crucified. The Son of Man would be delivered over to angry men, and they would crucify him, or sinful men. They would kill him. But on the third day, he would rise again. His disciples were not the only ones to hear this. Even the religious leaders heard it, because they said, you talked about destroying the temple in 3 days and then rebuilding it. They had no idea that he was not talking about the worship place, the temple. He was talking about his body. That if you crucify me, on the third day I will rise again. And here we are. This is the third day. This is the actual day of the resurrection. And the Bible tells us that two of these disciples, one of them is Cleopas, the other is unnamed. These guys are leaving the assembly. You know, I would think this would be the wrong time to leave church. But these guys leave headed back home. Lord, help me preach up in here. I wouldn't be leaving if Jesus says on the third day, I'm going to rise again. And this is the very day. But no, they can't wait around. They're on their way home. And I'm often wondered, what in the world was at home that was so important that they could not stay and at least wait to see if Jesus had really rose from the dead? They left early. Don't look at nobody. Keep looking up here. Because sometimes we leave too early because we don't see what other folk have seen. Sometimes we leave too early because things ain't going the way we think they ought to go. Sometimes we leave too early when we can't have our way, or nobody's patting us on the back, or nobody's giving us a pacifier, a pamper, and a bottle. These two left church. It will be the equivalent, Pastor Jones, of leaving church, time the preacher get up to preach. Don't look at nobody. I know you've done it before. It will be the equivalent of leaving church, time the answer is being submitted. And here they left church walking on their way home. Look at somebody and say, don't leave too quick now. You just may miss something. They're walking home. They're walking home. They're leaving. They're going home. Home is not right next door. Home is 7 miles. No, y'all ain't with me here today. You know they left early because the average person can't run 7 miles in 2 hours. Y'all getting quiet now. We can take you up there and drop you off, and let's see how long it's going to take you to get back up here. They're walking home 7 miles. They left early enough to make sure they would get home before it was dark. They're walking the wrong way. Look at somebody say they're going the wrong way. Instead of hanging in Jerusalem, they're walking, as King James says, 70 furlongs, 7 miles away, headed to Emmaus. And then they are talking about what has happened. Now, you would think something would trigger if we're talking about Jesus rising from the dead the third day. Why are we leaving? This is the day. This is the day that he said he would rise. And you know, some people are going to be ready right up until the day Jesus come back and die and go to hell. So hold on all the way to the very end and turn loose of the rope. The disciples walking home. We see in verse 15, they were communing together, reasoning, and as they were talking about what had happened, obviously they're talking about what happened to Jesus and his crucifixion. They're talking about the chief priests and elders. They're talking about these mock trials that he had to go through. They're talking about him dying on the cross and what had occurred, and here comes Jesus. Oh, what a blessing it is. You know, I find it very interesting, Ella Jones, that Jesus, even in our own ignorancy, he still walks with us. He come alongside these crazy boys, and he started walking with them. Has anybody in here ever had Jesus to walk with you the wrong way? No, you don't hang up on me here now. You ain't got to say nothing, just wiggle your foot at me. If you've had Jesus to walk with you the wrong way, you ought to blink an eye at me right now. You know you weren't going the wrong way, but he's the right way, but he still kept walking with you anyway. He comes alongside and walks with these fellas. Their eyes were holding that they should not know him. You see that in verse 16, they still don't know who he is. I came to preach up in here this morning because somebody right now is walking the wrong way. You leaving Jerusalem, you on your way back to Emmaus. You on your way back to what you used to do. You on your way back to that sinful life. Y'all getting quiet now. You on your way back to all the mess you just got away from. You're headed back there, because anytime you leave the saints and the believers, you going down. And these guys are on their way down. Most theologians in the commentary, James and Jossett and Brown, said these guys were going home because they weren't intending to come back again. They had hung it up and said, this is it. We believed in the wrong Messiah. We're through with this Jesus fella. Let's go back home. They're going home never to pick up their Bible again. Going home never to be a part of the praise team or the choir again. I'm just going to resign. I'm through with it. But this is the very day he rose. Look at this. Verse 17. Jesus walks up to him and he asks them, what are you guys talking about? Let me say, what y'all talking about? You know, it's a funny thing. I find this humorous. That they what y'all talking about? What's going on? What's going on? Why y'all so sad? Tell me what you're talking about. They just, oh, you know, this Jesus, Cleophas answers, you got to be strange, man. Who are you? You don't know what just happened? Then verse 19, Jesus says, what things? You know, that's funny. And all you just went through, you just got beat all night long, pull the beard out of your face, carried a cross up a hill, nailed to a cross, hung on the cross, for 6 hours, died, went to hell, came back, and asked, what things? You know, I think this is a good example for us. You don't have to tell everybody everything you're going through. You ain't got to tell everybody everything you went through. You know, you ask somebody, how you doing? Oh, child, you know, my car flat. I ran out of gas. Then they lied on me. They fired me. I just said good morning. That's all. I didn't know we was going to get all this. I mean, we get it. Well, my hair falling out. I got a dental appointment. What's the standing answer? I'll be praying for you, baby. I'll be praying. I'll be praying for you. What things? And they go into greater detail and say, well, you know, this Jesus of Nazareth guy. They doesn't say they were his disciples because they're through. They doesn't say that we walked with him, that he anointed us, he gave us power to go out at one time and cast out death. They leave all that out. They're not talking about how they would want you to spread the word. And he said, don't take no script with you. Don't take no food with you. Somebody going to take care of you when you get out there. They don't bring none of that up. They don't say, I followed Jesus. They don't say, I knew who he was. They don't say, I listened to those parables. They only just talk about that man in third person, Jesus, but they had no idea they walking with the very man. I've had a unique experience, and maybe some of you have. Amen. Lord, my time is moving on. I had the unique experience of being around people who were talking about somebody that they didn't think I knew, but I knew. Have you been there too? I mean, for real, have you been there too? And they were talking about somebody you knew, and you just had to act like you didn't know who they were talking about. Ooh, what? Well, say on. Say on. And then they're blown away when you say, oh, you know, that's my cousin. They're talking about Jesus, not knowing this is Jesus. And they say something really odd. We trusted that it had been him in verse 21 that should redeem Israel. What's in this man? We thought he was the one. We had our confidence linked into this man. We assumed that he was going to answer all of our questions and resolve all of our issues and fix all our problems. And many people come to Jesus the same way today. They assume that everything's just going to go smooth when I hook up with Jesus. But it don't work that way, honey. Yeah, no. They that live godly must suffer persecution. There will be some tough times in this life. There will be some things that God will let you go through that you don't know why. There will be some times when he doesn't say yes. He says no. It's a bad parent that always say yes to everything their child wants. We thought he was the one. We had put our confidence in this fella. And here it is the third day, but we're a little confused because, hey man, these certain women come in, they're part of our company. They are astonished. They say they went to the tomb early. We was in the hall at their bed sleeping. They got up early and went there to the sepulcher to anoint his body, but they came back saying he wasn't there. Ain't nothing hit you yet. Yeah. But you still walking the wrong way. Now they're walking while they're talking. They're still going the wrong way. Yeah, they still going the wrong way. I want that to sink in. They're still going the wrong way. Carrying on a conversation. Please listen. They just said when they went to find the body early, he wasn't there. Well, why are you going home? Why are you going home? Why are you walking the wrong way still? He wasn't there. We were astonished at this. You were so astonished that you still packed up and left. You were so astonished that you still said, I give up. You know, that just shows us how fickle we really are. Yeah, and that word fickle may be too heavy, too big to decipher. It just shows you how funny acting we are with God. God has already done enough, and we even sing it. If he never do anything else, he's already done enough until he don't do what I want him to do right now. And when he don't do that, I'm going home. We thought he was going to be the one to bring us that. We thought he was going to be one instead of three. We thought, and then the women went there and they said that but you still going the wrong way. Ain't that crazy? Look at somebody say that's just crazy. And how many of us does this really apply to? Say amen, somebody. I must admit, I've started packing stuff. You know what? I'm through. But the Lord will make a way. I tried it for myself. I'm going home. Going the wrong way. And he's walking with me. Yeah, that's right, Abel. You sure right, Abel. Yeah, that's right, son. Yeah, that's right. I find it comical. Somebody ought to say amen. Verse 23, you still got your Bibles open? Verse 23, Sister Trina. He said they didn't even find his body. Ain't no light come on yet. Ain't that, they couldn't find his body. They saw angels. And they said that he's alive. They still walking the wrong way. They're still walking the wrong way. And then he says, and there's certain of them when they say he was not there. Then verse 25, Jesus joins in the conversation and says, oh, you fools. You can put your name there. Scratch out fool, put your name. Oh, Ava. Oh, Treasure. Oh, Willie. And slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not Christ have to suffer these things into his glory? And then he starts a Bible class. A Bible class. Since we going the wrong way, y'all ain't decided to turn around yet. Let's just keep on walking. And you know, I've had God to walk with me in disobedience for a long time. Y'all getting quiet on me now. Just like you have. But his patience, his long suffering, his understanding of me, nowhere in this does he say, turn around, son. He doesn't tell Cleophas and the other disciple, hey guys, here I am, let's go back. He never says, hey guys, we going the wrong way. Let's just make a big U-turn and make a loop and come back up into Jerusalem on the east side. No, no, no. He keeps right on walking because you know what? The final decision has to be on you whether or not you're going to turn around and go back. Yeah, yeah. And when you're going the wrong way, you can always find an unnamed disciple to go with you. I believe you caught that, Elder Jones. When you're going the wrong way, you know you can find somebody, Sister Miller, that'll go wrong with you anywhere. We know who we can call right now. If we want to get something started, y'all getting quiet. It's called Ride or Die. There's a reason the other disciple is not named because he's ride or die. I'm with you right or wrong. And right now, we going the wrong way. Anybody ever had somebody to be wrong with you up in here? And they know you wrong, but they all, child, you right. I'm just like you. I wouldn't put up with it either. I'm going with you. And here they both are. Going the wrong way. Walking the wrong way in unity. Walking the wrong way together. Everybody got somebody. And guess you might be that person too. Lord bless you and things going well and they call you and get you all disturbed and there you go. You're going the wrong way again. I'm going back to. They're on their way. Jesus does a Bible class, a 7-mile Bible class. This tells us how important Sister Veronica Bible class is because he starts at Moses. Now you got to show enough. Anyone in here that ever taught, how many teachers in here? Y'all teach school? Got some teachers? Raise y'all hands so we can see you real good. Anybody teach Bible class or teach Sunday school, teach something like that? Got a few of you all in here. Can you imagine teaching the whole Bible in 7 miles? Can you imagine teaching the whole composition book in one class? You sure enough teach now. You're a teacher. You sure enough teaching if you can teach the entire book in one setting. He starts from Moses and goes all the way to the prophets and the Psalms. He covers everything. And he can do this because he is the Word himself. Ain't nothing he can cover. Ain't nothing he cannot know. Because he is the Word. So he's talking about himself all the way there. And then when they get to where they're going, the Bible says that he acted as if he would have gone further. Meaning no matter how far you go, he's still going to walk with you. To get you to turn around. He could have stayed in Jerusalem and just ministered to the 11 disciples, but Jesus saw these two walking the wrong way, pulled aside and walked with them all the way home. Let me take my time and tell you, Mother Mary, they didn't stop at no hotel nowhere. They didn't stop in a village on the side somewhere. Them jokers, they were determined, I ain't coming back. They kept walking 7 miles. That's a long way. I got on the treadmill the other day. Whew. And there I was, praying that somebody would call, the phone ring, something. When I need y'all to call, y'all won't call. You won't do it. But when I'm loaded down and got burdens and issues and the stuff dealing with it, everybody call it. Pastor, I need this, Pastor. Why y'all won't call when I'm on a treadmill sometime? I'm on this treadmill, Sister Vanessa. I'm on the treadmill. And, you know, I'm thinking I'm doing something. I'm sweating like a pig in the middle of July. This is really working. This is going good. And, you know, you press the button and it say how many calories. I don't want to see that. I want to see the miles. I thought I had did something. That thing said 1 mile. I said, oh, man. I said, what? It's going to be like this. And I ain't even went 30 minutes. I'm doing something wrong. So, you know, me, ambitious, eager. Let me speed up a little bit. Woo! Ain't the Lord all right? Yeah, so I turn up the music, got my little earplugs there. Hey, it's going to be all right. I'm going to check this thing again. 1.2 miles. I said, this ain't working. This ain't working. Then that same boss that said, go to the donut shop, I heard it say, you ain't ready for all this. You did well. Come aside, my son, and get off that treadmill for right now. We'll get back on it later this evening. But 7 miles the wrong way. They still don't know who he is. I'm wrapping it up. They still don't know who he is. After he has preached or taught for 7 miles, the whole Bible, they still don't know who he is. They're looking at him, but they don't see him. Because what you see is not always what it is. All they could see was Jesus is dead. All they could see was, I don't have my answer. All they could see was, ain't nothing I'm trying working. That's all they could see. It was not until Jesus took the bread and broke it that their eyes came open. I'm going to finish on this last point. Sister Linda, God gives us so much grace, even in our disobedience. To go all the way to where we're trying to go. I'm trying to go home. I'm going home. You get home like Jeremiah, and then a fire starts. Did not our heart burn? You know, you can't really get too comfortable in disobedience. It's a fire that started burning. It's a fire that started burning, Sister Tanya. It's a fire that started burning. And Jeremiah said, it's like fire in my bones. They got up. Said, we can't stay here. We better stay home. Let's go back. Everybody standing. I'm closing on this final point. While you're standing, look at somebody and tell them, let's go back. Every head bowed, every eye closed. Thank you for listening this morning to the word of the Lord. There are many people here today that I know this message is for. I just want to pray with you real quickly. It's not going to be a long altar prayer. But if you know this message for you, I want you to step out and come down here now. We're not going to lay hands on you or anything like that. We're just going to pray a special prayer for those at the altar. If you just come down. If you've been looking at it and it doesn't look like it needs to be looking, or you can't really see it. Jesus loves you so much. He loves you so much that he'll walk with you through all that stuff and get there. And not one time say, turn around. The reason I wondered about this, Mother Florentine, I said, I wonder why Jesus didn't say, hey, guys, hey, y'all going the wrong way. Let's turn around. Let's go back. I think that Jesus was trying, this is just me now. I believe he wanted one of the disciples to tell the other disciple. Maybe he was putting the responsibility of telling Cleophas to the other disciple, hey man, we're going the wrong way. Just like we have those people that's ride or die that's going to tell us that'll go wrong with us if we wrong. That'll fight for us if we fighting. That'll participate in any crazy stuff we doing. They'll join right on in. Just like we got those like that, there are some that'll stand in and say, hey, come on, we can do better than this. I pray now that God will let us, each and every one of us, have that same spirit that'll reach to that brother that's going the wrong way or that sister that's going the wrong way and say, hey, come on now, we can do better than this. Come on back. Let's go back to Jerusalem.